Welcome to For the Record. I'm Elena LaQuatra, and today, the first installment in a two-part episode of For the Record, all focused on the legacy of Pittsburgh's favorite neighbor. We are talking about Fred Rogers, the beloved host of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, whose legacy is still very much alive 23 years after he passed away. Later in this half hour, I'll bring you my interview with Mr. McFeely himself, David Newell. But first, I want to turn things over to our Lily Coleman as she speaks with the Director of Learning and Education for Fred Rogers Productions. I am joined by Mallory Ambalio with the Fred Rogers Productions. You're the Director of Learning and Education. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Tell me a little bit about what you do and the work that you all do.
Well, at Fred Rogers Productions, our mission is really building on the legacy of Fred Rogers by creating those engaging experiences and high quality programming that create an enthusiasm for learning, kindness, and respect. That is what we're all about. And in my role, I get to work across all the different departments and doing everything, because learning and education is a through line, right? We hear that passion for learning, that love for learning, and even in our mission statement. And so, I get to work with the production teams, I get to work with marketing, and I do everything from sitting on script reviews to doing school visits to making sure we get the production teams in front of students themselves to hear from firsthand how they experience the media, to back to school assemblies for the staff, initiatives, public speaking engagements, a lot of public speaking, which is just such a joy.
Stuff like this.
Stuff like this.
Yeah, this is perfect.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about that legacy. You know, here in Pittsburgh specifically, he is our favorite neighbor, but it's not just here in Pittsburgh. He has that connection all around the country, all around the world. How important is that legacy?
That legacy is incredibly important, Lily. I find it all the time when I go out and speak to different neighbors across the country. There's usually that connection when I go and present of how they connect with us first is through Mr. Rogers. They might not necessarily have heard about our recent programming, or they might have. But starting there and talking about what was it about Mr. Rogers that you remember? Like, what stands out to you? And honestly, every time I talk to anyone, there's two things that stand out from him. It's something they learned from the show, but also how the show made them feel. And honestly, that's the best feedback I can lean into as I talk about Daniel and talk about Donkey and talk about Alma, because that same mentality and that same intentionality is still there with all our current programming.
So let's talk a little bit about that current programming for people that maybe aren't familiar with it. What do those characters look like, and how has it evolved from when Mr. Rogers was on the air himself?
Well, let's start in the neighborhood of make-believe with Daniel Tiger. So Daniel Tiger's neighborhood is intended for ages 2 to 4. And its learning goals, if you go on our website, are the exact same as Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. And if you can hear the title, Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood, I believe probably a lot of our neighbors remember Daniel Striped Tiger in the original Neighborhood of Make-Believe. So this one centers 4-year-old Daniel. He's always 4. But there are some characters from the original Neighborhood of Make-Believe in there too, as Dad Tiger is the original Daniel to our Daniel Tiger. And that really is focused on those life skills, everything from big emotions, self-regulation, new experiences, all the things that our 2- and 4-year-olds go through in the world. And then you go up to Here Comes Don Quixote, and she is intended for ages 3 to 5. And so now you're thinking about our preschoolers and our pre-K students, right? So perseverance, resilience, problem solving, and she does it with this really joyous spirit. I like to call it the Joy Integration Show. I love to share that when it first came out, my son was 1, and even though he wasn't directly watching TV, he had an older sister who had it on, and you know when they do that baby bop? Mm-hmm. That was what he was jamming to, was the Don Quixote theme song, because it's just so joyous and colorful, and he's like trying to do all the different things Donkey's doing. Then you go up to Alma's Way. Alma's Way is intended for ages 4 to 6. And it is a critical thinking show. She really models for the viewers how to pause, think, and then react. And I feel like that is something I would have used all the time in the classroom if I was still there. And then we still have Odd Squad, which is intended for ages 6 to 8, and that makes math just joyous and fun and always on a mission.
There's a lot, and I love that it grows, you know,
Yes.
like you can start maybe at Daniel Tiger and work your way up, and there's a little something for everyone as your child grows. I have a 2-year-old, so I'm very much in the Daniel Tiger neighborhood there.
Yes, you are.
Yes, very much so. He's a frequent flyer in our house. Talk about, am I right in saying that you produce out of Pittsburgh?
Yes.
Talk about that.
So we are based here in Pittsburgh, and our shows are, like I said, right here in the neighborhood. You can find Fred Rogers Productions right in the South Side. And you can watch our programming on your local PBS station here, but also on all the PBS Kids platforms.
What do you think Fred Rogers would think of the work that you all are doing right now?
That is such a beautiful question, Lily. And when I took this role, and I was thinking about legacy forward, because I grew up with Mr. Rogers, and it was such an honor to take this role. I think about the moments that he had, of course, on screen, but also off of screen. And so, yes, we have those same intentionality with those education advisors and child development lens. That's definitely with all of our programming. That authenticity is still there. But then when we go out into the neighborhood and meet neighbors and meet them where they are, that is where I really feel, in my personal walk in this organization, I feel very connected to the legacy. Meeting them, instilling and reminding them of the core messages that he put out, which is, there's no one in the whole world like you, and I like you just the way you are, and how that is still relevant today. So relevant today that I feel like it's interpreted in different ways. I had a principal, my first principal told me when I was teaching, they ain't leaving the good ones at home, they're sending their best, which is really just another way of saying there's no one in the whole world like all these children, and we like them just the way they are. And so when I go meet with teachers, I remind them they're not leaving the good ones at home, as my first principal told me, but that also they are accepted and beautiful as they are, and that same messaging that they felt when they watched Mr. Rogers is in Daniel, it's in Donkey, it's in Alma, and even in those quirky agents in their own way.
Absolutely, that's a beautiful message I think we could all relate to. What else do you want to touch on? What am I missing that you think is important that you want viewers to know?
I want viewers to know that we have that intentionality with all of our resources that we create as well. As we're creating those resources for students, what's on screen, yes, has that intentionality and care, but so does what's off the screen. So if you go to any of the websites where our things are located, such as PBS Learning Media or PBS for Parents, you're going to still have that child development informed lens behind all of it, as well as some teacher voice, because we go ahead and we go into schools and we get feedback from the teachers and we get feedback from the students real time. So that lens for you is always there.
Mallory, thank you for being with us. Such an important conversation. We appreciate all of the work that you guys are doing.
Thank you, and as Daniel Tiger says, thank you for everything you do. Have a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
Oh, I love it. Thank you.
Still ahead on For the Record, my sit-down interview with Mr. McFeely himself, actor David Newell, how he's keeping Fred Rogers' legacy alive through what's being called a book cast. Welcome back to For the Record. I want to turn now to my interview with David Newell, the man who portrayed Mr. McFeely on Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, as well as John Massalonis from PR from the Heart. The pair tell me how they're focused on engaging children and parents with reading and how it's something families will see the benefits from for generations. First, let's start with why you both are here. We're celebrating a big anniversary.
We are the 5-year anniversary of the Neighborly Reviews Bookcast. It is one of the most popular children's book review programs for parents, educators, librarians across the country and around the world. David and I actually came into one another's life. It's hard to believe, a little over 6 years ago, had a dear friend, still one of our mutual friends, Colton Tobias, who was a student at Point Park University, and he introduced us to one another. I ended up interviewing David on a program that I had previously called the Shining Stars Series, and we said we should do something together, especially based on our mutual affinity of Fred Rogers and Fred's love of literacy and my work as a publicist for children's authors. Said, why not we take the time to do a children's book review program? And even David helped to coin the name, the Neighborly Reviews Bookcast. He said, John, is this a podcast? Oh no, wait a minute, it's a bookcast. And so having the opportunity to really provide dedicated resources of care for children in need, to let them know what's available in the world of children's literature, and to really provide lifelines for, again, parents and educators and librarians. And it's hard to believe we're celebrating the 5-year anniversary of the program this spring.
What podcast or bookcast episode are you on after 5 years?
Now we're on episode 60 and 61, wow. And a perfect timing because we're celebrating National Family Literacy Month as well as National Mental Health Awareness Month. There's some great authors whose books that we have the opportunities to share as part of the 5-year anniversary celebration of the Neighborly Reviews Bookcast. Shireen Edelblut's Fintail series. She has a story called Keys to My Heart and Garage Sale Goldmine, which teach kids about the importance of financial literacy and financial responsibility, to be able to kind of break the stigma with having those sorts of sensitive conversations. And then Dr. Susie Gray, who is a former elementary school teacher and practitioner in Southern California. She has 2 children's books called Lily and the Fairy Cake, a story for autism spectrum disorder, along with Teddy the Bear, a story for anxiety, and really doing her part to be able to let families who have neurodivergent children or anxious or sensitive children know that it's okay, that they can embrace their strengths and celebrate their differences while also be with those big feelings and big emotions that come up along the way.
And as a parent, I love that at children's books, even at that level, they're focusing on these very important messages, and they're not all just kind of simple and basic. Some of them go very deep and are teaching kids very important lessons at very young ages.
I've learned a lot by reading children's books. I really have. I didn't know that much about autism, and one of the books is about autism, and I didn't know all of that. And so I was educated too. So you can learn a lot in children's literature, you really can.
Even if you're an adult.
That's right.
If you're an adult,
right.
You can learn.
Yes.
I gotta ask, how do you guys find these books? There's so many children's books out there. How do you go about the process of picking which ones to feature on the bookcast?
Well, I'm very fortunate doing PR publicity work for children's authors, so having the opportunity to work with celebrities, prominently traditionally published authors, but also self-published and hybrid published authors. There's so many books that are in children's literature that to a certain extent parents and educators and librarians, they're feeling bombarded, not necessarily knowing what's a quality book. So when a book is featured on the Neighborly Reviews Bookcast, they know that both the author and the story is both trustable and trustworthy. It's suitable for their children. And one of the reasons why the bookcast stands out is we do our part to make gentle, warm invitations. We don't to try to have the books come across as like infomercials in any way, shape, or form. We really allow the parents and the educators and the librarians, the caregivers, to make their own decisions in the process. But it has been an absolute blast. If you would have told me growing up, little inner child John, that David and I, watching him on Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, that we would really be, in many respects, keeping Fred's memory and legacy alive, because he was a huge proponent of children's literacy, but blazing our own individual trails and inspiring these authors who are doing amazing work in the world to continue doing what it is that they're doing for children.
And we don't review them in a critical way. We just present what's available. So we don't have a critical opinion. We just think, here are some books that parents may be interested in presenting to their children. And that's our approach.
That's so special. John, you have a very unique perspective as someone who works with children's book authors. And you too, as Mr. McFeely from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, how special is it for you to still be involved in working with children all these years after that iconic show aired?
Oh, to me, the program never went off the air. I've mentioned a little earlier that I thought I had a job for 1 year when we started taping the program in 1967.
Yes.
And here I am talking to you about books and literacy and books related to Mr. Rogers and other authors' books too. It's been a wonderful ride, and I'm still have a long ride to go. I'm still delivering.
You're still delivering. Oh, that is iconic. I love that. How have you seen your book cast evolve over the last 5 years?
Well, we actually started the book cast really when the pandemic, we weren't necessarily in the heat of the pandemic, so to speak, but it was shortly afterwards. And at that particular point in time, kids were still moving through remote learning, virtual learning. Literacy rates were lower, and it was taking some states all across the country some time to really bounce back in the process. So taking the time to be able to not only do the episodes remotely like we do for the majority of the time, but we're very fortunate to have a relationship with one of the crown jewels in Pittsburgh, Point Park University. We broadcast our in-studio episodes of the Neighborly Reviews bookcast from their Center for Media Innovation. So twice per year I travel from San Diego to Pittsburgh to do the in-studio episodes with David. So really having that Steel City connection makes an incredible difference. And knowing the fact that the bookcast is not going away in any time soon, we're excited to be able to continue the bookcast heading into the summer reading season. One of the stories that we're going to be featuring is Ruth Dawn Shevlin's Esmeralda and the Lollipop Tree. Ooh. And that's going to be teaching kids about the importance of sharing, because as we know, David, sharing means caring. It's for, you know, when you take the time to share food or just share experiences, life feels more enriching and more enjoyable. And of course, then we head into the start of the back to school season and the holiday season. We're living in a very interesting world right now, and I think that ultimately one of the things that we can agree on, no matter what side of the aisle that we're on, is we want the best for our children. And again, knowing the fact that there are these dedicated resources of care. When Fred actually spoke in front of Senator John Pistori to try to secure $20 million worth of funding for PBS back in the day, he used that term. What I do through Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood is a resource of care, and in many respects, children's books are resources of care so many years later in the process. So just knowing that parents and educators and librarians, that they can be fully supported right now, and we're just doing our part to be able to let them know that they're not alone and they have some incredible support along the way.
And you have a daughter, a son?
I do. A daughter, a 1.5-year-old, who loves to read. Her favorite spot in the playroom is her little bookshelf. I mean, she pulls them out and reads them and throws them, and I got to clean them all up. But she loves to read, and I'm so glad. And I see the importance of literacy even at that very young age of 18 months old.
You'll have to introduce her to the podcast, or the bookcast.
The bookcast. So that was my next question. Is the bookcast more geared toward these, kids who are listening to podcasts, or is it more for parents and what they should be buying?
Both.
Okay.
Knowing the fact that we, with us as adults, we still have that inner child within us. Yes. And the number of parents and educators, librarians, even grandparents that we've connected with that have said, these children's books have helped me to nurture and heal my own inner child and strengthen the relationship that I have with my little one, with my grandparent, with my students in the classroom as well too. But we keep the program kid-friendly as well too, so no matter if you're a little one or if you're a little one at heart, you have the opportunity to enjoy the program.
And I think at least my major goal is to introduce children to books. Yeah. Even if they're just holding a book, a picture book, start with that. That's so important to have books.
And you've always said for a long period of time that reading is something that is both taught but also caught as well too.
That's right. Fred Rogers had a saying that learning is not taught but caught. If you're reading a book to yourself, your children will see you reading and they'll catch that.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Absolutely.
And that's very important. Just reading in front of your children is the start, I think.
Absolutely. Children are mimicking parents' behaviors and adults' behaviors from a young age. So show them that you love to read.
And in a way, it's good because it's a book they're reading. Yeah. And yes, the video games are here to stay. You can't deny that. But sometimes books are on video too. At least you're reading, but I like the hardcore book.
Me too. I'm old-fashioned in that way. I love having a book in my hands and reading one.
It just, in a new book, when you open it up, it's Remember in school when you got your books, you would have to open it up and then turn each page to make sure you didn't break the binding.
Yes, yes, yes.
And it's showing care and respect for books too.
Absolutely.
And respect for reading and the respect for learning. And that's what I like about what we're doing, that introducing books, just having them amongst us.
And ahead after the break, the conversation continues. What you can expect during next week's episode of For the Record.
So when we focus on the we, the me gets taken care of. And so knowing the fact that when you give back, you help and you support, especially those who are doing their part to fulfill their own missions and their own purposes, such as children's authors, it really is a good feeling, if I may use the words of Fred Rogers.
That's John Massalonis of PR from the Heart, talking about the benefits families see from reading, all by reciting the words made famous by Pittsburgh's favorite neighbor, Fred Rogers. Be sure to join me next week as my conversation with John and Mr. McFeely himself, David Newell, continues as we talk about the importance of getting children engaged with reading at a young age. Meanwhile, a reminder, if you have a topic you'd like us to address, go ahead and send us an email to news@WTAE.com. You can also rewatch this episode or any episode with the Very Local app on your smartphone, tablet, or smart TV. That's all for this week's episode of For the Record. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next Sunday morning at 11 a.m.